What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. So this is the Blackview P2 Lite, another cheap smartphone from China that's trying to make it on the market. So for specs we have the MTK6753, this is an octa-core CPU clocked at 1.3 GHz. We also have 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of internal storage, and the phone is running Android 7. Price wise, well, I've seen this as cheap as $130, but like anything else it really depends where you buy this from. This feels very similar to the K6000 Plus, and even though it is a bit smaller, it feels heavier. As for using this with one hand, well, it is close to impossible unless you have some huge hands. The P2 Lite is mostly made out of metal and glass, however we have plastic at the top and at the bottom, and we've seen that for other smartphones in the past. The phone looks quite good in black as long as it's clean. When it's not clean, well, it doesn't look that great. So on the back we have a secondary microphone, we have a 13 megapixel camera, the flash, the fingerprint scanner and the Blackview logo. That fingerprint scanner is placed somewhat higher than what we are used to, and that makes it a bit difficult to reach. Now the fingerprint scanner is accurate, I would say 95% of the time, so all you have to do is touch the fingerprint scanner and the screen will unlock. The sides of the phone are also made out of metal, and on the right hand side you're gonna find the power button and the volume keys. These ones are also made out of metal, and on the other side you're gonna find the slot for the SIM card. As usual, this can take either two SIM cards or a SIM card and an SD card, and since we are talking about SD cards, of course you can easily install an SD card as internal storage. As of the internal storage, out of that 32 gigs that comes with the device, we have about 25 left, and the speeds that I got for the internal storage are good. And moving back to the phone's body, the top side it's made out of plastic as I mentioned before, and there we're gonna find a 3.5mm audio jack. The sound coming out of this audio jack it's better than most phones that I tried under $200, so quite impressed by the sound coming out of this phone. Moving to the bottom, of course the bottom it's also made out of plastic, and there you're gonna find a speaker, a microphone and a USB-C port. This phone also supports OTG, so you could plug in any USB stick and the phone will be able to read that, or you can actually charge another phone from this. Speaking about charging, it takes about 3 hours and a half to fully charge this phone from 0 to 100. Unfortunately, that MTK6753 CPU it's not that power efficient, so even though we have a massive 6000 mAh battery, well, I didn't get the best results. So I was able to make it through an entire day and get about 5 hours and a half of screen on time. So definitely not the best results. The front of the phone looks like all the other phones that we've seen from China, so quite boring. We have large bezels all around the screen, so really nothing special about the front of this phone. So on the top there we have the 8 megapixel front facing camera, we also have an LED notification light, a couple of sensors and a speaker. The picture quality from that 8 megapixel front facing camera it's average, so nothing special about it. If you have a lot of light the pictures do turn out okay, but as soon as you don't have enough light the pictures become quite grainy. And of course the pictures that you've just seen or taken with this device. And moving to the screen, so we have a 5.5 inch screen with a 1080p resolution, and I have to be honest, this screen looks quite good. So first of all, it gets bright enough so you can actually use the phone outside, the viewing angles are really good and the colors are nice and vibrant. The screen sensitivity is above average, so you can touch the screen in 5 places in the same time and the screen will register. I haven't had any issues whenever I was typing or whenever I was playing any games, and on top of that we have some type of scratch resistant glass, and of course I try scratching it and it doesn't seem to get scratched. And lastly, just below the screen we have 3 physical buttons, so one of them is the home button, one of them is the menu or the multitasking button, and the other one is the return key. Unfortunately, these don't light up, but on the bright side you can actually change what each button does, so something that I haven't actually seen from many other manufacturers. Even though the phone doesn't get the greatest scores on the Antutu benchmark or the Geekbench, for it performs very well. So first of all, using Chrome, scrolling up, scrolling down, zooming in, pretty much anything that you're gonna do in Chrome it's done without any issues. Now as for the YouTube app, if you're gonna watch videos at 1080p at 60 frames per second, well, the videos don't go totally smooth. However, if you're just watching videos at 1080p, so not at 60 frames per second, they do go very well. As for gaming, well, the phone performs quite good, and I'm very sure that you're gonna be able to play pretty much any game available in the Google Play Store. I played Mortal Kombat and you can see for yourself that the phone doesn't lag at all. I've also checked the GPS unit inside this phone, and surprisingly enough it only takes 2 to 3 seconds to connect to the satellites no matter where you are. And of course using Google Maps works without any issues. Now as for sensors, as you'd expect, we don't get that many sensors because this is a rather cheap phone and we don't even have a gyroscope. As for connectivity, the phone supports 4G and dual band Wi-Fi, but of course, as always, make sure that the phone's bands actually match your carrier's bands. As for the speeds that I got over 4G and the dual band Wi-Fi, well, they're very good. As I mentioned at the beginning, on the back of this phone we have a 13 megapixel camera. The camera app looks like all the other MediaTek camera apps that we've seen, so we don't really have that many options or features or settings in there. But we do have a picture-in-picture option in there, and that basically turns on the back and the front cameras. But other than that, we don't really have that many options. Of course, taking picture with the HDR mode on takes quite a long time. Surprisingly enough, the pictures that I took with the rear camera turned out quite good. So of course, like most of these cheaper Chinese devices, if you have a lot of light, the pictures turn out great. So we have a lot of detail in the pictures do look nice and crisp, and the colors are nice and vibrant. Now, if we don't have enough light, even though the pictures don't look horrible, well, they don't look that great either. So they do become quite grainy, but I think they're still usable. And the last thing we are going to talk about is the software. So this phone is running Android 7 and they have their own skin on top of that Android 7. However, this is not such a heavy skin as we've seen in the past. So even though the icons and everything looks a bit different, the skin it's not heavy at all. So I haven't actually found this phone slowing down at all. Compared to like the K6000 Plus or the Ulefone Power 2, yeah, this one it's more fluid than those ones. I was very happy to see that we don't really have any useless features added, because most manufacturers from China tend to add a whole bunch of stuff onto their smartphones thinking they'll make them better, but in reality they don't. So the settings app, it's also nice and clean. Of course, the icons look a bit different because of that skin that they used, but overall the phone does work pretty good even with the skin that they have on top of that. So if you can get this phone for around $130, this is a very decent phone for that price. I mean, if it's like $200, I wouldn't actually buy it, but for around $130, it does offer a lot of value. So first of all, we have a beautiful screen. The screen is among the best that I've seen for a cheaper device. We have a massive battery, but in reality you'll just make it through an entire day, maybe a day and a half, so nothing special about the screen on time or anything like that. But overall the phone performs quite good for such a cheap phone. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.